Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and watching. My name is Nefertiti, and you can find my information in the description box below. In this video, I'm going to discuss the energy of the Cancer full moon, which is the first full moon of this year. And it's exact on January 17th, 2022 at 3:48 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm also going to talk about inner child healing because that's a huge theme with this Cancer full moon. And I'm going to also provide an energy reading. So let's get into it. Cancer, the crab, is ruled by the moon. So the energy for this particular full moon will be very potent for healing and release. I know I've been kind of going through some emotional release. This is occurring in my 8th house of psychological healing. So yeah, it's been interesting. Cancer's a water sign, right? Intuitive, nurturing, emotional, sensitive, and loves good food and comfortable homes. Cancerians can also be very codependent, jealous, and insecure. Full moons are about completions, manifestations, and becoming more aware of things. So there's a psychic element and vibe to this full moon as well. Remember that there are lots of psychic abilities, right? You could be clairaudient, clear hearing. You could be clairvoyant, clear seeing, or clairsentient, clear feeling, claircognizant, clear knowing. So these are some of the extra sensory perceptive abilities that will be a little more active with this full moon. There's also a potential, again, for intense emotional release and purging, especially when it comes to family matters and matters of the heart. There could even be a family crisis of some sort. The full moon is conjunct Pluto, which is adding more power to this energy of emotional release. And like I said, crisis, maybe for healing and transmutation. So bring on the waterworks, right? I know I've been crying, but I've been trying to and tell myself, okay, if I've got to cry, let me do it while I'm washing the dishes, right? I'm kind of facing away from everyone and anyways. Pluto will also challenge us to examine our control issues as we deal with energies that are potentially out of our control. Remember that full moons are emotional and extroverted in nature. So the things that are triggering us could be coming from outside of us, right? Mercury and Venus are also retrograde too. So this is just putting people in their feelings, right? Overthinking, or like that popular meme that's going around right now, I've been struggling mentally, right? So be gentle and kind and patient with yourself during this Cancer full moon time. This is also an excellent time for taking a spiritual bath, really nurturing yourself, doing your self-love and self-care practices. All right? So let's talk about the inner child and inner child healing. This is, I feel, one of the most important topics when it comes to spirituality, and it's often the one that's most avoided. So inner child is loosely, the model of the inner child, the idea of inner child is loosely based on Freud's identification model of the ego and the superego. And so he says that there are 3 components to our personality: the inner child, the outer child, and the adult self, right? So if you are struggling with inner child wounds, childhood wounds, or issues like most of us are, these can manifest as self-sabotaging behaviors, insecurity in general, poor self-esteem, being your own worst critic, poor body image, or even body dysmorphia, abandonment issues, issues with setting boundaries, deep-seated feelings of being broken and incomplete, placing value outside of yourself, making other people more important than you, people-pleasing, seeking reassurance, tendencies towards instant gratification, and addictions. Right? So I feel like for the most part, we all kind of struggle with some of these issues to more or less a degree, right, of severity. So some of the inner child traits include innocence, being sensitive, playful and curious, also really being in touch with your emotions, right? We know children have no issues displaying their emotions, right? And being open and curious and playful, craving love and safety and connection and validation, which are things that every child should have. Outer child traits are being impulsive, irrational, right? We don't expect children to be rational. I always find it very interesting and fascinating when I see other moms trying to negotiate with their kids, like if they're under 6. They don't have the cognitive skills to do that, to reason. So you're sitting there trying to argue with a 4 or 5-year-old, you're wasting your time. It's kind of like, do what I tell you to do because I'm in charge and I have the ability to make the best decisions for you. Granted that you're in a healthy place, right? Anyways, but outer child traits, about this is about demonstrating your emotions, being impatient, perhaps self-centered, right? I want, this is mine, this belongs to me. People with inner child traits sometimes are very overprotective of their inner child, right? They might be embarrassed to play or embarrassed to joke or embarrassed to be vulnerable in that way. And they're very outer focused, very materialistic. People that have inner child issues that display outward, they have to have things, right? They're very focused on their needs being met. And if you're a healthy adult, right? As healthy as you can be, you know how to set healthy boundaries. You have a good self-esteem. You're able to communicate and communicate calmly and rationally. You are able to maintain your integrity, and especially when you're in situations where there's conflict, right? It's not going to affect your self-worth or self-esteem because you make yourself a priority. Now, these are all things we know. These are all things that sound good in theory, but do we practice them on a regular basis? Because these are the things that are going to maintain us on our inner child journey, a healing journey, because it is a journey. So what are some practical ways that we can practice our inner child healing work? And I always like to use practical examples because I feel like even if you're spiritual, the practical will make sense, right? Because it's something that we can do. We're human doings and human beings, right? When people say that we're not human doings, we're human beings. No, we're both, right? We have to do things in this 3D reality. And I feel like if you can practically apply something that is actually spiritual because you've gotten the guidance and now you're acting on it, right? So one of the ways to practice inner child healing work is through self-care rituals, right? Like giving yourself a bath. You used to have a bath when you were a child, right? That's one way to practice self-care, inner child work. Maybe put some rose quartz in the bath, right? Or, wearing some really silly, crazy pajamas to bed, or making yourself your favorite snack before you go to bed. Not every night, or maybe watching a movie that you loved when you were a child, right? This is a self-care ritual. This is also connected to the second point or the second tip, which is planned play. There's a term that one of my teachers used to use all the time. He used to say pre-planned procrastination because we would always complain. I think this was actually my one of my history teachers or something. And I know he used to really give hard tests. I remember that. And he would always say, don't procrastinate, but pre-plan your procrastination. So just like you plan to study, plan to have time to goof around, to play, to fuck off, whatever it is you want to do, so that when you do get back to your work, you can focus, right? So schedule that time to play, to enjoy life. And the last practical tip is journaling, right? This is good for a lot of spiritual practices, spiritual work, spiritual journeys, whatever part you're on. But journaling is going to help you to connect to your subconscious energy, right? Those things that we push down because they're inconvenient to deal with at that time, or it's painful, or for whatever reason, right? Journaling is a way to kind of bring these things up. And using journaling in conjunction with this full moon energy is going to be very helpful with inner child healing, should you choose to do it. And there's lots of like prompts on Pinterest, pins on Pinterest with journal prompts. That's one of the easiest places to find like inner child journaling, like outlines or ideas, if you will, that'll help you to kind of do that kind of work. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let's move on to the energy reading. So from the Psychic Tarot, we have moving on, which is the Six of Swords, conflict and defeat, which is the Five of Swords, and at the bottom of the deck we have firm foundation, which is the Four of Pentacles in reverse. And from the Triggers and Towers deck, my deck, we have the Childhood Wounds card here, and from Self-Love and Empowerment we have I Am Grateful. The angel number is 823, the spirit animal is camel, and the crystal is braciated jasper. So camel spirit, camel shows up to help us nurture our soul. We can only ever give love and energy from our overflow, from our reserves, right? We hear this all the time, but how quickly do we forget? There is a need for you to take care of yourself and be selfish in a healthy way at this time. This is the energy of this Cancer full moon. Camel says to follow the journey that is most healthy for your heart and soul. Healing childhood wounds is the most challenging spiritual work that you will do on your path. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. Camel will give you the strength to endure through this difficult healing work and to be grateful for your journey, no matter how arduous, to be grateful for your experiences, no matter how tumultuous they were. Camel also reminds us that we can't rush any part of our healing journey. There are no shortcuts. And it's also confirmed by Mercury and Venus both being in retrograde, right? Mercury rules what's on our mind. Venus is about what we love and value. And they are both, quote unquote, moving backwards. Make inner child healing a long-term goal is the message from Camel Spirit. Be willing to release the burdens and anything that's weighing you down, which is also the message of the Psychic Tarot cards too, right? Like Camel, your spirit guides, which is also the Six of Swords, represents moving on, but also represents spirit guides. They're helping you to turn away, to move away from anyone or anything that makes you feel unsupported, which is represented by the Four of Pentacles reversed here, shedding the old and letting go with gratitude for whatever service, lessons, energy, etc. that person, place, or thing provided for you, right? For you to become who you are, for you to get on this journey of healing, because ultimately that is what gets us on that healing journey, is being triggered, is being hurt. The Six of Swords is also a card of healing, moving on to calmer waters, and like Camel, represents a guided journey. You're pulling the swords out of your back, healing and moving forward. At least you're being provided with an opportunity to do so. This Cancer full moon will provide you with the energy to release conflict, lies, deception, and codependency, which is represented by the Five of Swords, whether this is you or someone else, right? Five of Swords can also be about self-sabotage, but also means that you have the ability to change and to walk away. If you can sabotage yourself, you also have the ability to heal yourself, right? Remember that it's about the law of reflection too. If you can go so far in one direction, you can go the same distance in the other direction, but it'll take as long as it takes, right? If you've gone so far to the left, you've got to go so far to the right, and it's going to take time. Full moons are about completions as well, right? So walking away, moving away from these lower vibrations, right? The fives in tarot are the lowest vibration in the deck. These cards also speak to standing up for yourself, which is a common issue related to childhood wounds, right? Bullying, violence, crime, these are all connected to the Five of Swords energy. Angel number 823 is a reminder that angelic assistance is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're here to help you with positive thinking. This is also a number that reminds me of that quote from James Allen: circumstances do not make the man, they reveal him. So you can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to be someone that uses your experiences to heal, to transform, to grow. 823 also confirms mindfulness and gratitude, right? Being creative and compassionate with yourself and with others. All great qualities to focus on when it comes to inner child healing. Synchronicities is also a message with 823. Look out for the signs. Listen to your intuition, 6 of Swords, and do as your soul guides you. There will be a lot of intuitive guidance available with this moon. So, as I mentioned earlier, learn about your psychic abilities, because that's where you're going to receive the most and the clearest messages, is through the strongest ability that you have, right? This is also about keeping your personal truths and values in focus as you keep working towards your soul mission, your life purpose, which, in my spiritual opinion, that's a part of everyone's life purpose, is to heal, right? 823 is also about avoiding self-sabotaging behavior, which again we know is connected most likely to childhood trauma. This is usually the root of the issue. And remember that the further along you get on this healing journey, the better your ability will be to use your psychic abilities, your skills, your talents, because you won't have these blocks and these energies in the way that are preventing you from moving on, preventing you from letting go, right? Then you can start to really create better circumstances in your life. You'll be able to manifest better aligned situations, manifesting a life that's in alignment with your true self. So do your healing work, do your shadow work. Don't be afraid of your inner child. Love your inner child. Love yourself. And remember that it is about the journey. There is no destination. If you want to focus on a destination, the destination is always healing. It's always healing. But then you keep moving on to the next level of healing and the next level of healing, right? So I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to speaking to you again really soon. Have a wonderful Cancer full moon. Namaste.